Hi, I'm Julie Webb. I'm the owner of LitCentric.com. I want to thank you for listening to LitCentric Radio and subscribing to my podcast. And I definitely want to thank you for purchasing Harry the Dirty Dog, our lesson for today. So I'm going to share with you how this lesson plays out and the really simple bridge chart that goes with it. Now this lesson is pretty unique because it involves us reading the text before we ever get to text-dependent questions. Most of our LitCentric Radio lessons start with our text-dependent question discussion about the text, but in this case, Harry the Dirty Dog is an exercise in inferring and predicting, and kind of this pre-telling and retelling idea, and so we don't want to spoil it by analyzing the text together first. We want to do that later. So in this case, what I've done for myself is I've actually numbered the pages with these little kind of sticky tabs, and that way I know exactly where I want to stop when I read the story. I also mentioned in the lesson that I use 6 different picture cards from the story, and I didn't include them in the lesson because that would be a copyright violation, and that's not something that we're going to do to our authors and our illustrators that we love so much. So I suggest that you just photocopy or scan the pictures right from the book. They're mainly black and white, so it's really easy to do. And just don't distribute those. Use them in your classroom the way that you can, the way that you're allowed to, and we'll go from there. So the first picture that you're going to scan is actually the very first page, and this is included in your lesson. It has all the page numbers and the description of the pictures. So this is that first picture when he comes down the stairs. He's got his brush in his hand. The second picture is when he's burying it in the backyard. Then we skip several pages, get to our third picture, which I use this picture on this side where he's coming out of that little pipe and he's really, really dirty. Then we move on to page number 4, which shows when Harry actually comes home and the family discovers him. And page 5, or picture 5, is when the children give him a bath. And then, of course, the final picture is the last page where he's all clean again, safe and sound at home with that scrub brush, of course, hiding under his pillow. Okay, so those are our pictures we're going to use. And I just, like I said, I photocopy them, kind of shrink them down so they're kind of student size. I printed these on cardstock. I think that's easy for kids to use. You don't have to put them on colored paper, but I like to do that for our video so it's easier for you to see on camera. But either way, make sure that you have all 6 pictures and that you have enough sets of these for maybe 2 or 3 students to work together on this project. So when we build our bridge chart, we're doing it interactively, of course, with our students, and the students are going to be working together mostly, and you're just going to help them reveal the order of the pictures as you move along through the book. Now this lesson takes kind of maybe longer than a lot of bridge charts do because we want to give students ample time to have discussions, have disagreements, make their predictions, change their mind, and keep resorting the pictures. That's the key to this lesson. So this is how I would start with students. I pair them up. Usually we kind of spread out on the carpet. You could definitely do it, at student seats, but make sure they have at least one other person to work with. 3 kids usually works really well, and make sure that it's really balanced between the language abilities you have, maybe different languages that students speak. Make sure kids have access and that they're with the right learners so that they can do a good job with their speaking and listening skills. So each group gets these cards, and their first job is to take all 6 cards and go through them and lay them down either on the floor or on their desk in order of when they think they appear in the story. Now, I've found that a lot of my students have never read Harry the Dirty Dog, but some students have, and they still find this activity challenging because the pictures I've chosen, it's not always really obvious exactly what order they go in, and that's the point. That's why we don't include every single picture. We want students to actually have to make decisions about what they think makes sense in a story and build their comprehension skills and their metacognition skills. So in this case, all the students get their 6 pictures and they lay them out in the order that they think they go. And I don't give them any hints. I just listen to their conversations and let them go ahead and make those decisions. I also tell them, be prepared to make adjustments to your cards as we move along in the lesson, that no one's going to get it right the first time. I've never had a single student group ever get it right the first time. I've never even had a teacher group get it right the first time, even with people who know the book. So it's kind of a fun lesson to do for that reason. So once students go ahead and sort out their pictures in order, you go ahead and start reading your book. And if you've done what I've done and you've tabbed the pages, you know where to pause and give students a chance to resort. So you read your first page here describing Harry and what he's doing. Oftentimes kids immediately will recognize that that's one of their pictures. And so, they start, freaking out and running around, grabbing their pictures and immediately moving that picture to the top of their sort because they know that's the first picture. So as soon as they do that, that means that now they have to reevaluate the rest of their pictures because we want them to still make sure that the story is making sense to them in the way that they're telling it. So as I mentioned, that's why this lesson gets a little bit long, because every time we have to pause at one of these tabbed pages, we have to give students a chance to resort and have those conversations all over again. They're really powerful conversations, so it's worth the time and energy. As you keep reading, again, the second picture pops right up. Students can go ahead, resort, again, have some discussion about what's left. Each time the discussion gets a little bit shorter because there are fewer pictures to handle. So you keep reading throughout the book until you get to the very end. By the end, of course, the kids know, even before you get to the end, they know that Harry ends up on the pillow at the end and it makes sense. And I forgot to mention, as you're going through the book and finding the pictures with them, you're gonna go ahead and on your bridge chart, put up the pictures as you go so that students eventually can match you, okay? So remember Harry came down the stairs. Our next picture is when he was burying it in the backyard. Later on, he's getting dirty in all those different places. In this case, that little kind of tunnel or pipe he's going through. He shows up at the house and they don't recognize him, and they give him a bath. And of course, in the end, he is once again a white dog with black spots, and he's a happy dog. So by the end, all of your students will have pictures sorted in the same order because you've done the activity together with them. So I hope that makes sense. The writing task that I would do with students, I might do it a couple different ways. You could go ahead and keep this bridge chart and just have this available for students. And I ask them to retell the story and use these pictures to help them do that. They can also summarize the story, depends on the abilities and the level of your students. You can also give students large paper of their own, and the group can actually glue those pictures down on their little mini charts, and the group can work together, grab a marker, and they can start writing in and retelling the story, and that could be a group project. It could be a great literacy center activity maybe the following day or the following week. Okay? So there's lots of different ways to use this chart. This book is a great book to do this pre-telling, retelling activity. There are lots of other great books too, and I bet if you think about your classroom library, you'll think of some other ones that are good candidates for this type of lesson. Well, that's all for today. I want to thank you for listening and subscribing to LitCentric Radio. Follow me on social media. I'm at LitCentric everywhere you can, socialize on media. I hope you'll share this lesson. Take some photos of your bridge chart, take some photos of your students doing the writing task, engage in these conversations. I would love to see them. So share those on social media. Go ahead and tag me and use the hashtag LitCentric Radio, and that'll make it easy for all of us to find them and share some of the ideas together. I hope you have a great day at school. Thanks so much.